is a special edition of Late Night Health. I'm Mark Alyn. We're going to talk with Mike Caralis. He is from Verizon. He is one of the top cybersecurity experts in the nation. And I want to talk about the health of our personal computers and our small business computers, because personally, I absolutely hate having to remember all those passwords. Mike, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate being here.
I'm going to, I was away for a few days and had a couple of fishing expeditions, and not the kind that were for trout, but actually somebody kept sending me emails about that I bought something for $800 or $900. Do we have to be careful about our emails and what we receive?
A lot more than just emails. Emails, text messages, phone calls. There are folks doing what you're calling out, which is phishing campaigns, which are usually fear-based to try to get information, trying to represent a reputable business. And then there's pretexting, which is more trying to get account information, passwords, and we're seeing a rise in both kinds of attacks, both to consumers and small and medium businesses. It's a big risk that folks need to be educated on.
Let's talk about the need for passwords. I mean, obviously, 40 years ago, you'd go into a bank and we weren't on computers. They'd give us a little passbook for your savings account, or you'd have a check register, right?
Yep.
Was it easier then to protect your accounts than it is now?
Then I would say yes, because they weren't tied to the internet and weren't as exposed as it is today, but you didn't have the same access to funds and flexibility that you have to get your money. You're in LA. If I'm traveling there and I want to access my money, I got to use the internet to get to it versus, my bank may not be able to do that 40 years ago. So with increased flexibility comes a little bit of increased risk, but there are ways to protect yourself and your money, your business, and your assets.
Let's talk about passwords. Should I have one password that I use for, my bank, my credit cards, et cetera, or should each one be different?
So my view on that is you can do one password. It needs to be a complex password. It needs to be something not, easily associated that I can find on the internet. Birth dates, social security numbers, commonly found words. It has to be a complex password of some length, and you should change your passwords, because the real concern is if there's a breach and somebody gets access to your information and access to your passwords, then they can get into it. If you have good hygiene around regularly changing your smartphone password, your computer passwords, your online banking passwords, you're at far less risk. But you got to remember them now. So you have to have a little process and system to figure out how to do that. Or there are actually softwares out there that will tie a random key. So it'll literally produce it for you in an application that then links to your computer and uses a technology called like a VPN that allows you to authenticate and access the network. So for me on my computer, I log into an application called Duo, and then I have the same app on my phone, and I can put in my 8-digit password plus a randomized 8-digit password that's very hard for people to kind of crack.
Got it. Verizon is at the forefront of stopping cyber criminals. Tell us about that.
Yeah, when you look at cyber criminals, right? So 83% of cyber attacks in SMB customers come from outside of your business, but your employee 74% of the time makes a mistake. Not malicious. Your point on phishing attacks, pretexting, that stuff happens all the time. The other thing that happens is software updates, whether it's your laptop that you mentioned earlier, the router that you're using for internet, or your smartphone. Are you updating your software regularly? And then the third thing is, how are you protecting it, right? So Verizon will provide device management so you can control and isolate devices and eliminate it from your network. We can provide you software that does threat protection, that kind of does the work for you and prevents bad actors from getting into your network or attaching malware to you or blocking some phishing and pretexting. We also do it candidly at the network level. So Verizon, we're a pretty big company. People don't realize it.
Yeah,
Literally a third.
You're huge.
Yeah. A third of the world's internet traffic rides over us. And we support global enterprise, government agencies, and SMB. So we see it all. So we launched a product that literally will stop people from getting to your endpoint router. We call it Business Internet Secure. So we call that cleaning the pipe before it gets to your endpoint, which is your smartphone, your laptop, or your router. So our view is the best policy is a multi-layered security policy. You do some stuff at the endpoint, you do some stuff at the network, and you're not an expert as an SMB customer, so you need someone that's reputable that can give you some advice and some recommendations on how to protect yourself.
Do you have to be a Verizon Internet subscriber, or can you be on Comcast or one of the other Internet providers to use the service?
Yeah, so we often encounter customers that use all kinds of network providers. And if you go to verizon.com/business, we have a whole portfolio of cybersecurity technology and also a contact us, right? So we'll contact you, and for free, we give you advice on, hey, who's your network provider? What are you using for smartphones? Hey, what softwares do you have in place? What are your critical applications? Do you have anything in place that protects you today? How are you educating your employees? What's your hygiene to update software? So we give you advice around all of those things, and that's free. Now, if there's a gap and you want to buy something for us to help, we can obviously help in doing that. But our view is we want to really help SMB customers protect themselves because it's a big risk. And the U.S. economy is built on small business, right? That's what keeps us going. And if the U.S. economy grows, Verizon grows, everyone grows. So it's an important area to help.
And again, the website to find out more information is verizon.com/business. And that's also for consumers. If somebody's working at home, for example, in a small business, they can go there as well to get that security software.
Absolutely, 100%, yes. And there's something called the Data Breach Investigation Report, where we analyze thousands of data breaches every single year and give recommendations. Hey, this is what happened. This is what the criminals did or do, and this is how to protect yourself. So there's resources for you to self-learn. You can also contact us and have an expert educate you.
Got it. And the website, again, is verizon.com/business. Mike Caralis has been our guest. He's one of the top cybersecurity experts in the nation. Well, I appreciate your time today, Mike. Thanks for joining us here on Late Night Health.
Thank you very much for having me.